So can you tell us more about the lab and what its mission is?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Dan. And Don is one of I think he's the longest tenured person on staff right now,
Hmm.
and has been responsible for so many innovations that we've done and sort of how they've evolved. Starting with way back in 2014, um, there was a design session, kind of applying design thinking uh, at the White House, and an interesting session, sort of, asking this design question: how might government best accelerate scalable pathways into high quality and low cost workforce ready credentials? And that led to a whole host of these design sessions Don was involved in, as well as our founder, Kathleen Dulowski, who's now our board chair. And it's been applying this kind of, design thinking approach through the years. In 2015, they started bringing together higher ed leaders and looking at how do you apply design thinking approaches to really wicked problems in higher ed. In 2016, there was a 10-person college design sprint. Um, I think it was funded by Lumina, looking at the traditional models for higher ed. And that was a harbinger of something that was to come, that's really our flagship now, which is the community college growth engine.
Hmm.
We kept going, through the years, engaged leaders at UNCF around their schools, and then kind of taken a slight shift really in towards the learner, with this parent learners. It was called single moms at the time,
Hmm.
design challenge, because if you look at the number of single parents who don't successfully graduate even a community college model, it's pretty dramatic. And they're talented, they're smart, but the system is not designed for them to be successful through the college program. So we sort of help these colleges rethink their programs and the supports around them, but putting that learner, in this case, the single moms, at the center. And that work is still going on right now. We got it refunded, regranted rather, to take it to the next level. The other thing that happened right around that time, I think that was 2019, was we published this thought leadership piece called The Learner Revolution, really trying to look at how colleges can thrive in this new world of skills. So part of it was just a recognition of this shift to skills, to competencies, beyond just degrees as kind of brands that should speak for what people can do. There was also this rise of what we call the weave, of weaving in life, learning, earning, and living. Just people, once you're an adult, before you're out of high school in the U.S. system anyway, you've got the system and the state and society is all kind of organized around you going through this one path. And the assumption is you're going to, in modern US, is to get out of high school, go to college. And that's the normal path. Only
Hmm.
20% of people, fewer than that actually, in some indications, actually go from high school right through and graduate from college. And the other 80%.
Just to interrupt there, Bill. So you said
Yeah.
fewer than 20% follow that
Yeah, yeah.
traditional model?
There's
Wow.
yeah. The numbers slosh around at times, but there was one study I had seen was 18% a few years ago, which is crazy, right?
Right. And
And that was
there's
not
such
even
that
just
expectation. Sorry, there's such that expectation that that is the traditional route, and
That's the
everyone does it.
model, right?
Right.
Exactly. And if you talk to anybody on the street, I go to conferences all the time. Everyone's thinking about what they want aspirationally for their kids, which is you go to high school, you go to college, get a good job. Your aspiration isn't, well, discover who and what you are for 10 years, because by then the mindset, and again, this might be an American mindset. I've not grown up in another country, but is that somehow you're going to be behind.
Mm.
So that's, maybe then 80% of our talent force is behind. Um, and
Hmm.
according to those metrics. So it sort of begs the question of, first of all, why is this happening? So what are the barriers? So we look into those types of things, and what can be done about it. And one of the pieces is that, when you look at the traditional college degree, it's not broken, it's just incomplete. Like it was not designed for 100% of the population to be trained in post-secondary. It was designed for maybe 5 or 10%.
Hmm.
And the fact that we got to 20%, maybe people think are a success. And then even, if you have adult learners who somehow fall out of the system but make their way back, there's another 15%. So ultimately, 35% people do get a college degree, bachelor's degree, at least in the US, but 65% still don't. And, they're, which means that they often don't have the credential of value that they need to be successful. So there's two problems there. Is one is what types of credentials are available, and we do some work on that. And then what are the credentials that are valued in the talent sector? So we try to help move both of those things along by the work that we do. And we think of the community college in the U.S. as the best connected organization, institution, because they're connected with the workforce sector, they're connected with talent, they're connected with employers, they understand short-term programs, they understand adult education, um, and they understand open enrollment and open access and affordabilities. All of these things kind of come together, and they're funded. Most of them are funded by public funding, at least in part, if not
Hmm.
substantially. So they're in great. They've got great positionality, but they're not equipped to transform themselves. And some what organizations really are designed to do that, but especially not them. They're barely able to often deliver on the promises that they have to the public. And so the idea of transforming themselves is kind of crazy. So that's where we've kind of come in
Wow.
and continue to do these design challenges funded by philanthropy and increasingly funded by other sources as well to help these kind of transformations.
That's
So
fantastic, Bill, and so important that you are tackling the challenges and the opportunities from a number of different fronts.